Hello everybody and welcome to our grammar column which focuses on important question types in competitive exams. In today's lesson, we are going to cover active and passive voice in English sentences and the various rules to convert a given sentence in active to passive and vice versa. On your screen, you can see the contents of our lesson today and we will discuss all these areas according to the order shown here. We will start with a brief intro to active and passive voice and discuss when is one preferred over the other. This we will follow with the various rules and practice questions on how to formulate passive voice from active voice. And in the end, certain special categories that are a source of constant confusion to students. Well, in English, sentences can be in active or passive voice. The verbs also take different constructions accordingly. In the active voice, the subject and verb relationship is straightforward. The subject of the sentence performs the action expressed in the verb. For instance, the hungry boy ate a banana. It's clear that the boy, the subject of this sentence, performs the action to eat. A majority of sentences in English are in active voice. Now, in contrast, in a sentence which is in passive voice, the subject is acted upon. This means the subject receives the action expressed by the verb. The agent or the person or thing doing the action may be introduced through the preposition by in a by the ... phrase. The example sentence above can be converted into passive voice as follows. A banana was eaten by the hungry boy. The subject in this sentence is a banana, which is the receiver of the action eaten performed by the agent, the hungry boy. However, very often the agent is left out altogether. For example, in the following sentence, the new policy was approved. The agent here is unknown and could be anyone such as the committee, but we leave out the agent as the subject policy here is more important. The passive voice construction is particularly useful and in fact passive voice is recommended in 3 situations. The first case is when it is more important to draw our attention to the person or thing acted upon. For example, the unidentified victim was hit by a speeding car during the late night hours. This sentence is in passive voice as the focus is on the victim, the person who was hit. That is the person receiving the action of the verb hit. The second case is when the actor in the situation is not known or is not important, or when he must not be mentioned for diplomatic reasons. Examples are, my wallet has been stolen. Agent is not known. That church was built in the 15th century. Here, the agent or who built the church is not important. It has been alleged that some officers in this company accept bribes. The person who is making such allegations is perhaps doing so on the condition of anonymity. So this statement just draws attention to the main fact. And the third case is when the agent is obvious or when people in general are agents. I am paid monthly for my services. The agent is quite obvious, is my employer. Diwali, a festival of lights, is celebrated with great enthusiasm in India. People in general are agents. Only transitive verbs, those that take objects, can be transformed into passive constructions. In the following sentences, for instance, no passive construction is possible as the verbs are being used intransitively, that is, without an object. Birds fly in the sky. Here, the phrase in the sky is not an object. It's just a prepositional phrase. Remember, an object in a sentence is an answer to the question what or whom. Just like the subject, an object has to be a noun or a pronoun. So if we have the sentence, the hungry boy ate a banana, we can ask the question, ate what? A banana. Or the sentence, Rohan pushed Adi. We can ask the question, pushed whom? Adi. But here, we can't ask the question, birds fly what? It would be an improper question as the verb fly is intransitive. Similarly, the next two sentences have intransitive verbs, so passive voice is not possible. The sky grew dark as the clouds approached. She goes to school at 7 a.m. Also, active sentences containing certain verbs cannot be transformed into passive structures. To have is the most important of these verbs. We can say, he has a new car. But we cannot say, a new car is had by him. We can say, Rajiv lacked finesse. But we cannot say, finesse was lacked. Here is a brief list of such verbs. Resemble, look like, equal, agree with, mean, contain, hold, comprise, lack, suit, fit, and become. Now let's discuss the most important part. How to convert an active voice sentence into passive voice. First, let's take an example. She teaches English. The subject here is she. The verb is teaches and the object is the subject English, which is an answer to the question teaches what. The passive voice for this sentence looks like English is taught by her. 3 steps for conversion into passive voice. The first step is the object of the active voice sentence becomes the new subject in passive voice sentence. So the object English is our new subject. The second step is the original subject of active voice sentence, who was also the agent or doer of the action expressed by the verb, is suffixed to the passive voice sentence with the help of a by ... phrase. In doing so, the subject pronouns become object pronouns. So she becomes by her and is suffixed to the end of the passive sentence. And the third step is the verb form is changed to past participle and an appropriate form of the verb to be is conjugated with the verb. So teaches, which is simple present tense, now looks like is taught, where is a form of the verb to be and taught is a past participle of the verb teach. Remember, verb has 3 forms, simple present or base form, simple past and past participle. I'm sure everyone has learned those tables in school. You just need to revise those to be comfortable with this topic. And I would recommend that you also do a basic revision of the various tenses. Another example, you already know the steps. Active voice sentence is, I wrote a letter. I is the subject, wrote is the verb, and a letter is the object. In passive voice, a letter becomes a subject. The original subject of active voice, I, becomes the phrase by me, we put it to the end. And the verb wrote will now become was written. Write, wrote, written are the 3 forms for the verb of this sentence. So we use the past participle written along with the form of the verb to be, which in this case is was. After the basics, let's move on to some details on formulation of passive voice and practice for various tenses. In simple tenses, we have past, present and future. Focus on the change of the verb. Simple present tense, he writes an essay. An essay is written by him. He writes poems. Poems are written by him. So we see that write is replaced by is or are written. Simple past tense, he wrote an essay. An essay was written by him. He wrote poems. Poems were written by him. So we see that the verb wrote is replaced by was or were written. And simple future tense uses the modal auxiliary will. He will write an essay. An essay will be written by him. He will write poems. Poems will be written by him. So will write is replaced by will be written. Now the continuous tenses. Present continuous tense. He is writing an essay. An essay is being written by him. He is writing poems. Poems are being written by him. So we see that the verb form is or are writing is replaced by is or are being written. Past continuous tense. He was writing an essay. An essay was being written by him. He was writing poems. Poems were being written by him. So we see that the verb was or were writing is replaced by was or were being written. And future continuous tense. He will be writing an essay. An essay will be being written by him. He will be writing poems. Poems will be being written by him. So will be writing is replaced by will be being written. The perfect tenses. Present perfect. He has written an essay. An essay has been written by him. He has written poems. Poems have been written by him. So has or have written gets converted to has or have been written. Past perfect tense. He had written an essay. An essay had been written by him. He had written poems. Poems had been written by him. So had written gets changed to had been written. And the future perfect tense. He will have written an essay. An essay will have been written by him. He will have written poems. Poems will have been written by him. So will have written gets changed to will have been written. Now come the perfect continuous tenses. The passive voice for perfect continuous tenses is possible but is not very common. Let me tell you why. In the present perfect continuous tense, we have the sentence, he has been writing an essay. If I attempt to convert it into passive, the sentence would look like, an essay is being written by him. Sounds weird, isn't it? So that's why we don't form passive for perfect continuous tenses. Along with the review of passive structures for various tenses, just make a quick note that the subject pronouns in active voice sentences need to be converted into object pronouns according to the table on your screen. Now some special constructions in tenses. Sometimes we use the phrase is going to convey future tense. Note the passive for the following example. Radha is going to make a delicious dinner tonight. It's the same as saying Radha will make or cook a delicious dinner tonight. The passive will be a delicious dinner is going to be made by Radha tonight. Now at times we are talking about the future in the past. Note the passive. I knew Rajiv would finish the work by 5 p.m. I knew the work would be finished by 5 p.m. I thought Radha was going to make a delicious dinner tonight. I thought a delicious dinner was going to be made by Radha tonight. As you would have observed, to form the passive, we use be plus past participle form of the verb. With that, we come to the case of passive voice for modal auxiliaries. The case of modal auxiliaries such as can, could, would, shall, should, may or might is exactly same as that of the modal auxiliary will. Remember, we used will for future tenses. Some examples are: she can play the guitar. The guitar can be played by her. My mother would make apple pies for my birthday. Apple pies would be made by my mother for my birthday. We just insert be between the modal and the past participle form of the verb to form the passive. Similarly, for modal with have, such as must have, may have, the case is same as that of will have in future perfect tense. Someone must have stolen the necklace. The necklace must have been stolen. They may not have seen our proposal. Our proposal may not have been seen by them. Then there are certain phrases such as used to, ought to, have to, etc. which function as modals. We form the passive in the same way as we do for other modals. For instance, Jerry used to pay my bills. My bills used to be paid by Jerry. Children ought to obey the elders. The elders ought to be obeyed by the children. With the basics on our fingertips, we are now going to cover certain special cases in active to passive voice conversion. The very first of these is an active voice sentence with two objects. When there are two objects in an active sentence, there are two possible active sentences and two possible passive sentences that may be constructed. Let's take an example sentence. The professor gave the students an assignment. Subject, verb, and there are two objects in this sentence. Let's call them object 1 and object 2. Object 1, students, is the indirect object. It answers the question, gave whom? Object 2, an assignment, is the direct object. It answers the question, gave what? The second version of the active sentence would be, the professor gave an assignment to the students. Subject, verb, object 2, object 1. Please note that an indirect object is very often a person, whereas a direct object is a thing. When a direct object is followed by an indirect one, we put the preposition to in front of the indirect object. Each of the two objects, students and assignment, in the active sentences can become the subject in the passive sentences as illustrated below. Object 2 as new subject in passive voice gives us, an assignment was given to the students by the professor. The new subject, the passive verb, the other object, the agent. Object 1 as the new subject in passive voice gives us, the students were given an assignment by the professor. Again, note that the order is subject, the passive verb, the other object, the agent. Sometimes, what follows the verb is a subordinate clause starting with that. Take for example the following sentence. People know that she is a good singer. Here, if you ask the question, people know what? The answer would be the complete subordinate clause that she is a good singer. There are two simple schemes to convert this sentence into passive. As we know, the object comes to the beginning of the passive sentence and we can refer to this clause with the help of the pronoun it. So the passive looks like, it is known that she is a good singer. This version with it as the subject is called impersonal passive. There is one more way to sort out this sentence. We can simply say, she is known to be a good singer. This version is called personal passive as the subject of the passive sentence is now a person. Let's try one more sentence. His colleagues thought that he was on a holiday. Passive version 1. It was thought that he was on a holiday. And passive version 2, which is the preferred version, is he was thought to be on a holiday. Before I tell you exactly what needs to be done to formulate this version, let's take our third example. They believe that he will win the first prize. The preferred version for passive looks like he is believed to win the first prize. The steps for conversion to personal passive are: first, the subject of the subordinate clause becomes the subject of the whole sentence in first position. So he is the subject of the subordinate clause. It comes to the beginning. The verb of perception is used in passive voice. The verb of the subordinate clause is used as infinitive with to. Here, believe is the verb of perception. Converted into passive. Will win is the verb in subordinate clause. Converted into infinitive, to win. The auxiliary verb will is dropped as the future aspect is already indicated by the infinitive with to. The third special case is when an active voice sentence with the verb being followed by a preposition is converted into passive. In this case, you just need to remember that the preposition remains immediately after the verb. Let's look at some examples. The grandparents looked after the baby. Here, looked after is a verb plus preposition combination. The passive sentence looks like the baby was looked after by the grandparents. They listened to the music. Music is listened to by them. The preposition to remains with the verb listen. Many people believe in superstitions. Superstitions are believed in by many people. The preposition in remains with the verb believe. They talked about the challenges in setting up a new business. The challenges in setting up a new business were talked about by them. Again, the preposition about remains with the verb talked. Let's quickly discuss some examples for negative sentences now, which is an easy case to handle. The first sentence is, the actor didn't receive the trophy. And the passive looks like, the trophy wasn't received by the actor. The second sentence is, she does not like coffee. And the passive looks like, coffee isn't liked by her. As you would have observed, we drop the auxiliary verbs do or did in these negative sentences when we form the passive. The third sentence is fairly simple. A sane man cannot utter this word. And just like we discussed in the case of modal auxiliaries, the passive version looks like, this word cannot be uttered by a sane man. Sometimes the verb is not negative but the subject is. If the active sentence begins with no one or nobody, the passive sentence will be negative. For instance, no one informed me about the incident. I was not informed about the incident. Nobody turned on the light. The light wasn't turned on. The next category is questions, and here are a few special tips to help you crack them. The first tip is, the primary auxiliary verbs do, does or did do not appear in the passive form. So for example, did she call you? Were you called by her? The second tip is, the verbs has, have, had, will, shall, can or may, etc. remain at the beginning of the sentence when the active voice is changed to the passive voice. Some examples are, have you done the homework? Has the homework been done by you? Will you help him? Will he be helped by you? Can he complete the job in 3 weeks? Can the job be completed by him in 3 weeks? And so on. The third and final tip is the question words when, why, where, how, or what also remain at the beginning of the sentence when the active voice is changed into the passive voice. So if the question is, what did he decide? The passive looks like what was decided by him. Make one very important note for questions. Who changes to by whom and whom changes to who? The following questions are examples of this point. Who will help me? By whom will I be helped? Who has destroyed Nagasaki? By whom has Nagasaki been destroyed? Whom did you invite? Who was invited by you? So in the last sentence, whom changes to who. Now come imperative sentences. We have discussed imperative sentences in our other grammar lessons. Imperative sentences are used to give commands or advice or to make requests, and the subject is implied in these sentences. These sentences are addressed to a second person subject, you. The construction for passive voice of an imperative sentence is let plus subject plus be plus past participle. For example, open the door. Let the door be opened. Do all the necessary tests soon. Let all the necessary tests be done soon. When the active voice is in the negative, the passive voice takes the form let plus object plus not plus be plus past participle. For example, do not disturb me. The passive looks like let me not be disturbed. Do not insult the poor. Let the poor not be insulted. One very important note, if the active sentence itself starts with let, as in the sentence, let's Sia help him, the object is him. So when you put him in the subject position, the passive should be let him be helped by Sia. You can't say let he be helped by Sia. That would be wrong. Let is always followed by an object pronoun. There is an alternate construction possible for imperatives. We can begin the passive sentence with you if we want to put emphasis on the person addressed to. So, for example, don't touch the wire. Let the wire not be touched. However, if we want to emphasize you, which is the subject of the active imperative sentence, we can alternatively form the passive as follows. You are warned not to touch the wire. Another example, please help me. Either we say, let me be helped, or we can say, you are requested to help me. A tricky one would be the imperative, work hard. There is no object in this sentence. So what do? We cannot form the imperative with the let version, as that version requires an object. So we must use the alternate construction for the passive. You are advised to work hard. And finally, the last special case is expressions containing gerunds. For now, just remember that a gerund is an ing form of the verb that functions like a noun. For example, if I say, I love swimming. Swimming here is a gerund because it is formed from the verb swim, and the word swimming names an activity. So the word swimming functions as a noun. Certain verbs such as like, hate, enjoy, remember, and others are often followed by gerunds. To form the passive in these cases, change the ing form of the gerund to being plus past participle form. Following are some examples. I remember them taking me to the zoo. I remember being taken to the zoo. I don't like people watching me while I eat. I don't like being watched while I eat. She enjoys her mother reading to her. She enjoys being read to. He doesn't mind me scolding him. He doesn't mind being scolded. So that brings us to the end of this video. As a quick recap of the lesson, here are a few handy tips that will help you in questions on active to passive conversions or vice versa. The passive voice expressions can be easily recognized because the verb will always be in its past participle form and the verb phrase will always include a form of be, such as am, is, was, were, are, or been. The presence of a be verb, however, does not necessarily mean that the sentence is in passive voice. In particular, the continuous tenses always have being in passive voice and the perfect tenses always have been in passive voice. Another way to recognize passive voice sentences is that they may include a by the ... phrase after the verb. The agent performing the action, if named, is the object of the preposition in this phrase. If you like this lesson, do visit our grammar column for some other tips and tricks on grammar questions for competitive exams. For any doubts or queries on this topic, please feel free to drop a comment on the video page. Alternatively, you may mail us your comments or feedback or any queries at aptispeak@gmail.com. Hope you liked the lesson. Subscribe our channel and stay tuned for more such videos. Thank you.